ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another episode of Behind the Bench. I am Rocco Granado from InLacrosseWeTrust.com, and with me, as usual, from LaxPhilly.com is none other than Gary Goob. Gary, another holiday season. Hope it went well for you. I know you've always been busy with the singing gigs and everything else, but how was the holidays?
Well, it was nice to get a day off, I tell you. Other than that, it was busy as busy can be, but busy is good, isn't it?
Yeah. You stay busy, things stay off your mind, and sometimes it's a good thing, sometimes it's a bad thing. But another season has gotten underway. Last time we spoke, we kind of went over the draft and free agent signings with the new CBA and things like that. But now we are going into, I believe, our fourth week of the regular season of the National Lacrosse League, as everything got underway back on December 15th.
It's kind of weird because we still have teams that have only played one game.
Yeah. That's the weird part of it, because it was supposed to start back on, I believe, like December 5th, the first weekend.
December 1st.
December 1st. And, some of the teams by this point would have had, 3 games under their belt by now. But, some of them have 2, some of them have 1. Yeah, so everything's starting.
Calgary has 3.
Yeah, and the first 2 weeks of the season are being put on the very, towards, the end of the season. But for the first, couple weeks, we'll go through the scores real quick. For the first week, December 15th, you only had 3 games. You had Philadelphia falling to Buffalo 17-15. Georgia topped New England 16-12. Calgary fell to Vancouver 14-13, which was one of the more exciting games of that first week.
Yeah, it was quite the fourth quarter. Vancouver looked like they had a team, and there was all of a sudden some reason for optimism.
Yeah.
But since then, they've quashed that, so.
Yeah, big time. Then the following week, you had Toronto open up their season in Buffalo, defeating the Bandits 17-12.
Which in most people's eyes was an upset, and in my eyes it wasn't, because I know the team that is here.
Yeah. I mean, they all picked Buffalo as being the team because of the signing of Matt Vince, signing Corey Small. But after week 1, Dane Smith went down, and we still don't know the full extent of that injury.
But we also know that Buffalo doesn't have a defense, and they didn't have one last year, and they didn't address it in the offseason.
No.
By putting Matt Vince in there, and now Matt Vince is standing there without a defense in front of him. Matt Vince has always had a solid, if not stellar, defense in front of him.
Right.
We have the Aaron Bull syndrome. Aaron Bull, we all thought, was invincible until he went to England, where there was no defense, and he looked pretty ordinary.
Yeah.
Aaron Bull is now looking below ordinary, being in Vancouver. And has less than no defense.
Yeah, and we're going to get to that too. But like I said, Toronto beat Buffalo 17-12. So just in those 2 games alone with Matt Vince, he's averaging allowing 16 goals a game. Maybe a little bit less because he might have been taken out, I think, at some point. So it might even be more than that. Then Calgary just whitewashed Vancouver 14-8. That was a total, Calgary rampage, we'll say.
That was an exclamation point for the week before.
Yeah. Then the one game that was kind of a surprise to me, but it really wasn't, San Diego defeating Colorado 17-12 in the Loud House.
Yeah, well, I like the way San Diego's put together.
Yeah.
Austin Stotts had a stellar game for his first game in the NLL and, lived up to the hype. But the other thing was I had seen this Colorado team in preseason, and they were having a little bit of trouble. And they had their lineup together. So, this was just an extension of what I saw in that game.
Yeah. And then San Diego came, out on all cylinders going. Austin Stotts, I think he had, 9-point night, 5 goals, 4 assists in his rookie debut.
Yeah, and you know what? Frank Scagliotto looked great in that.
Yeah, he did. I don't want to say I was shocked. I'll just say I was surprised.
Yeah, I think it was a pleasant surprise.
Yeah. And then you had this past weekend, which are the games that we'll kind of go through. New England upset Saskatchewan 12-11 in their home opener. Georgia defeated Toronto in the final 20 seconds.
And what I would probably call, probably one of the games of the year.
Yeah. Buffalo beat Vancouver 16-10. Calgary over San Diego 9-5, which that's going to be a rivalry big time right there, I think. And then Rochester just beating up on Philadelphia 13-9. But we're going to go ahead and we're going to go through those last few games. We're going to start recapping those. But this week we have 5 games this weekend. We open up tomorrow night with the Wings going to Toronto. No doubt you'll be there.
I will be.
You actually get to see the Philadelphia Wings team in Toronto again.
There you go.
You got Vancouver going to Georgia. That's at 7:05 on Saturday. So there's only one game tomorrow night. That's the Philadelphia-Toronto game. So again, for 3 weeks in a row, Philadelphia Wings have the spotlight where all of the National Lacrosse League and lacrosse fans will be on them. Because in the opener, it was at 1 o'clock Saturday afternoon or Sunday afternoon. No, Saturday afternoon game at 1 p.m. No other games started until around 7:30, so everybody can watch that game. Last week, they were the only game on Saturday. This week, they're the only game on Friday. So everybody is, will be, tuned in. That's the only game.
Well, they're getting exposure. They can't complain about that.
No, they can't. Not at all. And they're getting a lot of exposure here in Philadelphia as well. And that game will be televised locally on WPHL 17 in the Philadelphia market. So you don't have to worry about watching it on, BR Live on the Bleacher Report, pay-per-view thing. It's going to be televised locally here. Saturday, you got Vancouver at Georgia, Rochester at Buffalo, San Diego at Saskatchewan, which is going to be kind of interesting, I think. And then on Sunday at 3 o'clock, you got Calgary at Colorado. So that's what we have for this week coming up. But let's look at last week's games. And there was, quite a bit. We'll look at the first game was the New England Black Wolves and the Saskatchewan Rush. That was New England's home opener. And for them to beat Saskatchewan the way they did, I was shocked.
Well, it seems to be that this is a trend because everybody picked against them the year before in their home opener, and it was against the NLL champs, the Georgia Swarm. And I believe they beat them 13-11.
Yeah.
So this seems to be the opening they do. Next year, if they're playing the whomever the NLL champs are, I'm picking New England.
Yeah, and they did this without one of their big stars in Kevin Crowley.
Something tells me you're not going to see him this year. So.
Yeah, unless somebody works out a trade, because word out there is that he wants to come back to Philly. But I also know that Philly will not give up the farm for just the one player. Which is
smart, because I would put them in the same jackpot they were before they left.
Yeah, there's too much other talent that's coming out in the draft in the next couple of years that teams don't want to give up. So we'll have to see what happens. But I know they gave him the franchise tag, but he never accepted it. With the CBA coming out, that whole situation. I don't think anything was resolved on the CBA side, where there was any type of an increase or anything like that. So they did this without Kevin Crowley. They had players like Callum Crawford with 3 goals and 3 assists, Stefan LeBlanc, 2 goals and assists, and Riley O'Connor, 4 goals, 2 assists.
Well, they started out like a house on fire. They took Saskatchewan completely out of their game. Before they really turned around, it was 3-0.
Yeah.
even, having everything work, having Saskatchewan pull a goalie at the end of the first, and having John LaFontaine score an empty net goal for New England, you knew things were going a little bit sideways.
Yeah, that's
but
an understatement.
You never rest on your laurels, because what happens in the second? Bang, in 3 minutes, you get a 3-goal run, and you have yourself a game again. Just that easy.
Yeah, and
but to New England's credit, they didn't fold up and they didn't start, going defensive. They went and pushed forward. They got the next 3-goal run and got themselves their lead again, and they really, really took it from that point on in that quarter to Saskatchewan, who just at the very end of that quarter, McIntosh and Dinsdale scored to make it a game again. Because at that point, it was just 9-7 at the half. But really, before they got those, it's 9-5, and New England has everything going for them.
Yeah, and then, Saskatchewan goes on that 5-goal run, and you're thinking right there, okay, Saskatchewan's up now 10-9. They just scored 5 in a row. They're going to start, blasting this away.
But again, New England comes through with a solid end of the third, into the fourth, with a 4-goal run, and hold on.
Yeah, I mean, as much as you could say, well, it was a tight game, 1-goal game, there was really no backbreaker. The backbreaking goal came at 1:34 in that fourth quarter, if you think about it. Cameron Crawford scores at 14-12 of the third, and he ties the game up at 10. Okay? Then you start the fourth quarter with Crawford scoring again.
No,
the penalty shot.
Unsuccessful
penalty shot. Okay, my mistake. But then 30 seconds later, they didn't allow that. Like normally, when a team is unsuccessful on a penalty shot, the team that it was going against picks up that momentum. Okay? But 30 seconds later, Stéphane LeBlanc puts that goal in to give them the 11-10 lead. That, I think, was a turning point, because how many times have we seen it that a team fails on a penalty shot and the other team picks up that momentum and just goes away with it?
Sure.
He scores that goal at 1:34, and then for the next 8 minutes, there were shots going both ways, and both defenses were coming up strong here. And then that's when Riley O'Connor scored his fourth of the night to give them a 12-10 lead, and then Robert Church gets the extra attacker goal with 1:09 to go. And then, kudos to Alex Bouquet for standing tall in that net.
Well, yeah. Yeah, definitely. You look at the numbers in the game. His shots on goal were fairly even at 53-49 for New England. But loose balls, Saskatchewan 73-63. Face-offs, Jeremy Thompson, whatever he did in the off-season worked.
Yeah.
He found he was his old form. They were 20 of 28. And even in the power play, Saskatchewan had 4 of 7, whereas New England was only 1 of 4.
4, yeah.
No, but then again, New England also had 2 shorthanded goals. Those are killers.
Yeah. Yeah, shorthanded goals will get you every single time, because that's almost like a 4-goal turnaround if you're allowing 2 shorthanded goals. In a situation like that. But
well, the first one, Riley O'Connor got the shorthanded goal, and then just after that, Jeff Shatler scored, so that basically canceled that one out. But the second shorthanded goal wasn't answered, and really, there's your 1 goal. There's your 1 goal in this game.
1 goal, yeah.
There it is. But, kudos. New England played a lot better than I thought they were going to play. They played a lot better than they played the week earlier. I would be very leery of Saskatchewan with their home opener this week, though. But we'll get to that.
Yeah, that's going to be something a little bit on the interesting side there. So, again, New England comes out in their home opener, wins that game 12-11, giving Saskatchewan, I guess you say a shocking loss there. Now the next one we had was Georgia at Toronto, and this game had everything anybody can ask for. Okay.
It was one of the cleanest games I watched, and even with LeBranch doing what LeBranch does, which isn't much. This game, right off the hop, Toronto rode the crowd, which was 10,000 plus, which was a good start to the year. And Tom Schreiber, Mr. Captain America, and Rob Hellier, who we'll get into because he had the game of games, of 11 goals, he was in on 10 of them. 5 goals, 5 assists. It was incredible. Rob was everywhere. He was everywhere. But Georgia, to their credit, they came back. Holden Catoni had a pair of goals to tie it up. And then Brampton Excelsior, Adam Wiedemann, came in, and he came in with a goal and 3 assists. Not bad for a defenseman. That was his first NLL goal, so kudos to him. Then, Lyle Thompson. And, well, what more can I say about that? Except that there's 2 of his goals are ESPN running still for some absolutely incredible acrobatics, jumping across the crease and throwing it backside, over Nick Rose's right shoulder.
Yeah.
One at the end of the second, and one again to tie it up in the fourth. This game was back and forth. It looked like Georgia was going to run away with it at one point when it was 5-2, but Toronto just kept clawing back. It's good to see Creighton Reed back as a Toronto Rock, who last time we saw him, he was hoisting the cup. Spent a messy years with Colorado and then Calgary. And he had a goal, which was nice, assisted, of course, by Rob Hellier. But, the scoring came from all over. Kieran McArdle, he had a great game. And he doesn't get enough credit for all the stuff that he does. And it was nice to see a couple of goals go in for him. And again, from Rob Hellier.
Let's see, what was the
only... One of them was shorthanded, which was, usually we're giving up the shorties, and we actually got one. We give him one up earlier in the game, so... But Johnny Palace added to the score sheet there in the fourth quarter. And, it was nip and tuck. In fact, Toronto had the 11-10 lead with just over 5 minutes to go, and then it became the Lyle Thompson show. He scored to tie it up, another acrobatic goal at 12:15. Then missed a penalty shot, which had us all breathing a little bit of a sigh of relief, only to be let down with 23.2 seconds left when he fired a shot from only 20 feet out with a couple of Rock defenders on top of him. Again, into the right side of Nick Rose.
Yeah, I was just...
just to put an exclamation point into that, and that was that. But in this game, you only had 15 minutes worth of penalties altogether. That's it.
Yeah. Very clean game.
Shots 56-55 in favor of Toronto. Loose ball 75-61 in favor of Toronto. And Toronto actually has a bona fide face-off man with Jay Thornberry. And for a change, I can say that they actually won the face-off battle. 10-11. Yeah, I don't think I've said that in about 8 years.
No, you haven't. It's been a while.
But hey,
it's been a while. It definitely has been a while. But yeah, Lyle Thompson.
On the power play, Toronto went 2 for 4. Both had a shorty, so it was a very, very, very evenly played game. Yeah, and I have a feeling they've always played each other tough, always played each other close. Georgia seems to come up on top more times than not. I think they're 7-1 altogether. But all these games last year, this year, all within a goal.
Yeah, and Lyle Thompson doing what Lyle Thompson does. That's.
Yep, exactly.
Exactly. I'll get to see that on January 12th when Georgia comes to Philly, and I sit 2 rows off the floor behind the net. So I'll be sitting there with my jaw hitting the ground with everything that he does. So I'm kind of hoping the defense can keep him somewhat at bay, but we'll have to wait and see on that one. But yeah, Georgia comes out on top, and guy, like you said, a very well played game on both ends, and
that's one of the better games I've seen in a long, long time.
Yeah, each team having their runs, but then Lyle Thompson just taking over.
You have 2 very powerful offenses, 2 extremely good defenses, and 2 bona fide star goalies. So this is what you get, and you don't get a whole lot of the rough stuff. It was a hard hitting game.
Yeah,
but very clean.
Very hard hitting. The refs let it go. They weren't.
There's no cheap stuff in there. None.
No, they weren't throwing their arms up. At the last second to do anything. Now, this next game turned out to be a complete, I don't know if I want to say a complete joke, but it just got so out of hand at one point that I was just sitting here at home watching it, just kind of shaking my head. When we got into Rochester, and I just kind of put on my phone watching, I just started shaking my head. Vancouver falling to Buffalo 16-10. And
well, when you leave Sean Evans to do what Sean Evans can do, this is what happens.
Yeah.
He's been quiet all year, and all of a sudden, boom, 4 goals, 7 assists, right?
Well, not only that, but then you got Josh Byrne with 3 goals, 7 assists.
Yeah.
Yeah, so between the two of them, that's 21 points. Yeah, with 7 goals and 14 assists between the two.
You got Thomas Hogarth doing what he's been doing all year with 2 goals and 4 assists also.
Yeah, it's just... Yeah, and think, that was without Corey Small or Dane Smith.
Interestingly enough, Corey Small was a healthy scratch, so...
Yeah.
I don't know if there's a message being sent or what, but I find that kind of strange.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out why they wouldn't have played him against his old team. So who knows? But it just, Buffalo.
But Aaron Bold only made it through 25 minutes of this game.
Yeah, which is, stopping 12 shots on 21 attempts. He allowed 9 goals in that 25 and a half minutes. I mean, Vancouver actually had it tied up at 3 before Buffalo went on a run to score the next 10 out of 11 goals. And that just is what just made it, completely ridiculous at one point.
Mitch Jones tried to bring his team back to life, but he, like the scoring, he lost the fight.
Yeah.
Bryce Sweeting got the best of that one.
Yeah, this was just very bad for Vancouver.
Well, it exposed Vancouver for what really they are.
Yeah.
They are a team that is rebuilding, and they have a long way to go.
A very long way, and Aaron Bold is going to be part of that. I don't know how long he's going to want to stay there. I know he's from that area. It's from the Edmonton, Saskatchewan area, so that's where he wants to kind of stay. Out west. But I don't know. Sometimes you guys sit there and wonder. This team needs a lot of help.
It does, and he needs to start getting and using draft picks because it's not going to do it any other way.
No, because in a matter of time, you may have some other players that may say, "Hey, look, I don't mind playing for my hometown and being here, but I like to be somewhat of a contender and maybe have a shot at at a title." And I'm looking at players like Logan Shush and McCready has maybe a few years left. Maybe he might want another run at it, and you got Brandon Goodwin. You have all these guys there. Justin Salt.
Keegan Ball had a good game with 2 goals and 4 assists.
Yeah,
but you need more.
You need more than that. Yeah, and you knew that they were going to be rebuilding once they released Reese Dutch. So right then and there, it's going to be somewhat of a long season, and you have to hope that the players want to go through with that, knowing what the current management is going to want to do. Bringing certain players in, try to do something, because otherwise they're going to lose this team altogether. But the shots were close in this, 47-46 in favor of Vancouver. Face-off 17-12 in favor of Buffalo. Loose balls 78-74 in favor of Vancouver.
And Matt Vince made it through a full game.
Yes. Yes, allowing 10 goals.
First one of the year.
Yes. And then Buffalo 0 for 2 in the power play. Vancouver went 1 for 5. But also, Buffalo had a shorthanded goal in that, so that kind of canceled.
Like that mattered.
Canceled out, yeah. And surprisingly,
well, the numbers are pretty
close. This was in Buffalo.
46 in shots, 78, 74
loose
for Vancouver and loose balls.
Yeah, but what's surprising is the attendance. Buffalo only had 12,000 people.
Which is better than they had the week before against Toronto, which was about 10,000.
Yeah, well, that was in Toronto. This one... No, it was in Buffalo. That's right. But, 12,000. Buffalo usually averages 13 to 14. So we'll have
a holiday month.
Yeah. So we'll have to see what happens, in the up and coming weeks, we'll say. Now, the next game we had was the San Diego Seals. God, it sounds strange saying that. Against the Calgary Roughnecks.
Yeah, I know. I keep thinking about the 70s hockey team.
Yeah.
With the white skates.
Yeah, the Golden Seals. California Golden Seals.
The Golden Seals. They're actually the Oakland Seals to start with, so.
Yep.
But, Charlie Finley's team.
Yeah, this was another game that I was thoroughly enjoying.
This one I actually had on in the car when I was heading home from the Toronto game.
I mean, you're looking at a score of 3-2 at the half.
Yeah, and it was a very entertaining half.
Yeah, at the half, 3-2. I mean, you had...
It wasn't until midway through the fourth where this game went sideways. Because it was 5-5.
Yeah. I mean...
And we scored 4 goals in the last 9 minutes. And, actually in the last, 5 minutes of that 9-minute span. And that game was over. But up until that point, but both defenses played great. Like, you're stopping a lot of firepower.
And there's
like Austin Stotts looked very, very ordinary in this one. Dan Dawson only had a goal and an assist.
Right.
Ryan Hall was silent. Brody Merrill, even when it came to loose balls, he only had 9 loose balls in the whole game, right?
Calgary had the chance to really jump on this because 5 out of the first 6 penalties were all called against San Diego.
But again, I bring up Frank Scagliano, and he made 49 saves.
Yeah.
Out of 58 shots.
Yeah, I mean Calgary went 2 for 7 on the power play, and they let up a shorty. So
most times when you do that, though, you come away with a W.
Yep.
Yeah. And Brandon Cleveland, even though Vancouver cut him, he landed in San Diego. And he's their face-off guy. Something that Vancouver overlooked over there, of course. I don't think he ever took a face-off over in Vancouver.
No.
He was busy trying to get into the lineup from being healthy scratch most of the time. Which is why, of course, we were talking in Toronto about getting him here, since his home is up here.
Right.
But he is a plumber on the West Coast. So, San Diego's a perfect fit for him, and 13 of 18 on the face-off for him is very good, including a goal.
Yeah.
Not bad for a D-man.
No, not at all. I mean, he did what he was, supposed to do, and unfortunately, they came up on the short side of it because in the last quarter they had a complete.
Yeah, you look at Calgary, though, they're missing, of course, Dixon and Berg, who will most likely be out for the year if we listen to their agent correctly.
Yeah.
But you got Reese Dutch and Dane Dobby putting this team on their backs. Dutch with 3 and 2, Dobby with 2 and 4, and away we go.
When was the last time we said Reese Dutch with 3 goals and 2 assists?
Well, let's go look back into the archives because it's been a long time.
It's been a long time, yeah. And he
the only thing that Calgary was shy on, of course, was the face-offs. Tyler Burton only was 5 of 17, and that's something they need to look at.
Yeah.
But Christian Del Bianco, 46 saves, 5 goals on 51 shots. What more can you ask from this kid?
No, there's not a whole.
Last time I played this teller, he was hoisting a Minto Cup.
Yeah. There's one thing that just has me worried with Calgary, and if you look at it, it really sticks right out. They had 58 shots on goal. 31 of them.
They're a one-dimensional team, and if you have a team that has a decent defense, because we take a look at the last 3 weeks that they played. They played Vancouver twice.
Right. And San Diego.
They played San Diego. So what happens when they play Georgia? What happens when they play Saskatchewan? What happens when they play Toronto? I don't think they're going to be doing near as good because I think the two guys that score will be bottled up.
Right, because you got 31 of the 58 shots were by Dutch and Dobby.
Exactly. If you bottle those guys up, which I'm sure the tapes are going around to every team in the league.
Yeah.
That's pretty well. That's the end of the dimensions.
Yeah, that's it.
There's not a second or a third scoring threat on that team.
No.
Or should I say a third or fourth? Not now.
No, that's yeah. I mean, yeah, you got. I don't know, maybe Riley Lowen or somebody like it, but not a bona fide number 3 man there.
Dan Taylor is a decent scorer, but you know what? He's never ever been a starter. Saskatchewan, he wasn't a starter. Toronto, even when he got traded here last year, where I thought he'd get in the lineup, he only made half the games that he was there.
That he was there for.
So, I don't. We'll see. We'll see. I like him. I think he's a good player, but I don't know if he can. He's definitely not a Dixon. He isn't a Bird.
No, that's for sure.
He just, coming to that.
Yeah, I mean, for San Diego only scoring 5 goals. Like you said, Dawson, Tyler Evans, Holding, Jackson.
Turner Evans.
No, Turner, okay, yeah. Turner Evans. And they held Austin Stotts with just 2 assists after that first game, having 9 points.
Well, he kept Kyle Buchanan off the score sheet, too. Really, 1 assist, that's it.
Yeah, 1 assist on 10 shots.
And these guys are the guys that need to put him up if they're going to do something, right? Buchanan, Stotts, Dawson. That's your offensive prowess. Everything else is gravy.
Yeah, well, I think they're kind of hoping for Dawson to score a little more than he has in the last couple of years.
Well, yeah.
So
yeah.
Now the last game that we have, there's quite a bit to talk about, and it's been going around on social media. But we'll start from the beginning because it'd be kind of crazy to go to the end of it. Rochester and Philadelphia. Before the game, they brought out the all-time 25th anniversary team. Just some names off the top of my head. You had Reggie Thorpe, Timmy Sudan, Pat O'Toole, Paul Gate, Cody Jamieson, Sid Smith, Scott Campbell, Paul Dawson. These guys were all part of that team. Mike Hazen. So you had John Grant Jr., who's there in attendance
as well, but he wasn't able to make it.
Yeah, Chris Schiller was there. So there was a fair amount of that talent that was there. This game, again, the Wings started out slow. They started out very slow against Buffalo in the opener, fell behind, had to battle back, and in this game, they were behind 5-0 by the end of the first quarter. And Gary, we've said this I don't know how many times. When you're down by 5, it's not, you have plenty of time to make that up, but it's very difficult because you're looking at outscoring your opponent 5-0 just to get a tie at that point. So you got to scratch and claw at that point to try to get it back on track. And before we knew it, the half hit, and Philadelphia is looking at an 8-2 deficit. I'm sitting there in Rochester watching this going, okay, what's going on? You have the talent out there. You have Brett Hickey out there. You got Kyle Matisse. You got Jordan Hall. Blaze Reardon playing back basically in his hometown. Seth Charbonneau, Matt Rambo, Chris Clouchet. You got, the scoring talent out there. But it seemed like they're still gripping the sticks too tight. Their passes are sailing on them. And sometimes it looks like some of the players are unsure about firing those passes at shoulder height. So they're trying to put them up higher, and they're sailing up over their heads, over and back or into the stands or what have you. Because when you look at the turnovers, the Wings had a total of 14 turnovers, and Rochester only caused 5 of them. That means there were 9 unforced errors out there. turnover-wise. Way too many. On the other hand, Rochester had 10 of them like that as well. So, with Rochester having 19 turnovers, the Wings caused 9 of them. So the other 10 turnovers, it's just too many between the two teams right there.
Well, it was very sloppy, 81 to 78 and loose balls. Just that alone,
yeah.
That's just sloppy.
Yeah, Philadelphia outshot them 59-52. Face-offs, Trevor Batiste bested Jake Withers 15-12. And some of those face-off draws were good. Yeah, they were. Yeah. But both of those guys battling, and Trevor is the real deal out there.
It's funny because we're talking about all the renovations over in Blue Cross, and the scoreboard's beautiful, and for the first time I can actually see everything when I'm watching it on BR Live. But you know what I can see also? God, that turf still sucks.
Well, you know that Steyer's wasn't going to be paying for a turf once the Halifax thing came through.
Yeah, but you would figure that maybe Pagula would be paying for a turf because he paid for a scoreboard in there.
Yeah, well, he paid for the scoreboard mainly because of the the AHL team, the Rochester Americans. But the turf, he may feel that, hey, this isn't my team yet. I'm not going to have them running on the turf and something happening to it when it's really not my team.
Yeah, well, we've been talking about this for years. The league should be stepping in.
Yeah.
Because somebody takes an ACL, MCL out on this one.
Oh, God. I mean, whenever we're there, we're always down on the floor. I was down on the floor again, this past weekend. And you still got that gap that's in between the boards where your toes can get caught in there. And they got the old logo covered over with other advertisements, but that advertisement is peeling, and there's little bumps in the turf and everything.
Well, just watching the boards and seeing it to basically Scotch tape the ads to the boards.
Yeah, it's some kind of a deal should have been struck between the Pagulas and Kurt Steyer's as far as saying, hey, let's get the turf. Let's do something. So it may lead me to believe that maybe Rochester's going to change their colors. Keep the name, maybe change colors. Who knows?
Well, the turf's still going to be green.
Yeah, but the other colors is what you're going to look at.
Yeah, well.
The way it is right now. So that we'll have to wait for next year. But the Wings.
Well, it was nice to see there was a Brett Hickey showing in this game because
Yeah, finally. Yeah, it took a while, but he did.
He's a damn nice guy and a damn good player. But there are times when he becomes invisible.
And he was invisible this week.
Yeah, he showed up in the fourth quarter at the beginning and the end of that quarter, but everywhere else, nowhere to be seen.
Nowhere to be seen, no. But
I was listening for his name, and you know what? I didn't hear Rupchinski talk about him at all.
No.
Nothing.
No, it was shocking, that he really,
I heard Kluche's name more than I heard in the last couple of weeks, but...
Yeah. Well, he had his 2 assists early in the game, and then he got, he scored his goals after that.
Right.
But, yeah, it's... his first game was fine. This game, don't know what's going on. They shut down Jordan Hall. He only had 1 assist, which is, unlike, Jordan Hall.
Right.
But, this is a Rochester team that has been together for, I don't know how many years. And...
I'm hoping is that Philadelphia finds a way to find a spot to put Liam Burns in.
Yeah.
He's electrifying. He really is. He's predominantly a field player, yes. But I had a chance to watch him with the Excelsiors a couple of summers ago, and I'm telling you, he can easily put a team on his back. And he's a gazelle. So, I know he went on the injured reserve, and I know it really was so we could get Blaze Reardon in the lineup, but they really need to find a place to put him, because he will excel in this lineup.
Yeah, you got to find a spot for a player like that. But one thing that I heard throughout the arena was people were in awe of Agnes Goodleaf. They couldn't.
Well, we always knew he could do it, because how many times did he get in for Matt Vince when he was having an off night and stole the game back?
Right. They didn't think he was this good.
I was able to watch him with Six Nations the last couple of years, and he is.
He's that good.
That good.
Yeah, I mean, he held the Philadelphia Wings team at bay on some of these shots. And
very athletic. He's also very motivated if you ever see him off the floor. Yeah, he's your biggest cheerleader in there, too. So.
Yeah. I mean,
he's a good team guy, and I think it's great to see him actually get an opportunity to be a starter.
Yeah, I mean,
and I don't think they'll look back from this one now.
No, I don't think they will. Just hopefully for them he keeps up on this upside, because there has been times where he can go to the other side. So I just have to see, but with the team he has in front of him, I think he'll be in good shape. Now,
plus he's got his Warren Hill, who was a teammate in Nations as well, as his backup. So.
Yeah, and that was the goalie I wanted to see the Philadelphia Wings get in the expansion draft.
Well, that's another thing we really haven't touched on, is that neither goalie for Philadelphia has actually bowled me over with confidence.
No, the funny thing is,
Joe, we already knew was kind of so-so from Buffalo days, and hoped that he had put that behind him. Buchan, he plays real well when the net's a little bit smaller in MSL.
Right.
But the same thing that happened to Bouquet is happening to him. His shots that would go over his shoulder into the corner are actually going over his shoulder into the net. And in the NLL, unlike the MSL, which has most of the best players in the world, but the NLL has the best players in the world. And 10 times out of 10, if you have a weak spot, they're going to pick it.
Yeah, and the thing is,
accurately,
both these players actually played well when they came in relief of the other.
Well, there's no pressure at that point because the game is already out of hand.
Basically out of hand, right. Now,
kind of like a relief pitcher coming in when it's 14-1. They'll throw whatever they want, because really 18-1, 14-1, whatever. And if you actually have something that you find that works, great.
Yeah,
the pressure is on. The pressure was on in the first 8 minutes, and what happened? Boom.
Yeah.
Now, granted, they had to sit through a ceremony, which they made Buffalo do too, just a couple of weeks earlier, right?
Right.
So fair is fair.
Right, but yeah, and ceremony wasn't that long either.
Yeah, but it probably took some of the edge off of these guys, right?
Yeah, it may have, but I feel they need to get a bona fide veteran goaltender, whether it be a Ty Bellinger or anybody. There's got to be somebody out there. I mean, I've met DeRuscio, I've talked with him, great guy and all, but he's got to put his halves together. You know, when he came in the second half against Buffalo, he almost, won the game. And then the first half against Rochester, as we like to say, he crapped the bed.
Yeah. Big way.
So you got to put, two halves together.
But what was worse off is he really didn't even look like he was guessing. He was guessing through most of the shots that were coming at him.
Yeah.
And Rochester had him beat, 8 times.
Oh, they had him beat as they were running down the floor.
But you say he's just guessing to where they're going, and they had him beat, literally. I mean, he didn't have a clue what they were doing.
They're doing now.
Very, very odd.
Yeah, but now the thing I want to talk about, and it's been going, I guess you could say, viral or just going hog wild out there on social media. The last goal by Cody Jamieson.
Uh-huh.
Okay, now, before we get into it, I'm going to say this. I don't care who did it. My thing is, when you step between the pipes, you're doing it at your own risk. Okay? You're a goaltender, you have the pads, if you're a defender and you're running back there, who knows what's going to happen. But with the game being the way it was, being at 12-8 at that point with 2.5 minutes to go, and the Wings not really mounting that much of an attack anymore, was there really a need for Jamieson to take that 3-step hop and fire it the way he did? Right, he could have bounced or did a little behind the back or whatever. But
he's one of the toughest guys I know, and I know Chet fairly well. I know again from Summer, I know from Brampton and the rest of it, but and he won't move. He'll take it. But it's totally unnecessary.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like he stood there stationary and fired it. He was running down. He took like that three-step hop to get a little more behind it, and just fired it. I mean, it's kind of like an unwritten rule, you know.
What I don't understand is nobody from the Wings team had anything really to say about it.
Well, because at that point, if a fight would have ensued, there could have been suspensions.
At that point, you need to make a message.
Yeah, well, I really think something's going to happen on February 1st when Rochester comes to town. I really do. As much as people are saying out there that, well, no, by that point, the Wings would have played 4 games prior to it. They're going to forget about it. No, there's a few players that are not going to forget about it.
Like I say, I think that something should have been at the moment.
At the moment, yeah. I mean, there was a little pushing and shoving, but nothing...
Nothing severe. That's just me, and that's old school.
Oh, yeah. And I'm the same way. I thought something should have been done at that point, but I think something in February will be done with that. There may be a little extra hit on Cody or...
The problem is that, the refs will be more than aware that that's coming, and then you will have the suspensions.
Right. Well,
from the league office the week of.
Right, but I'm looking at there may be a little extra on the clean hit. Make it be a little bit of a harder hit. Not doing it to where you're getting suspended or anything like that. But what he did, other people have said, hey, he got in the net. Whatever happens, happens. No, he could have fired that ball prior to Chet getting anywhere near being in the net.
Yeah, like I say, he could have just fired it along the ground and Chet wasn't going to stop it.
Right. So there was no reason to do anything like that. I don't care who did it.
He's good enough to pick a corner. He could have done that too. So
yeah, I mean, even if it was a Philadelphia Wing that did that, I'd be saying the same thing. There was no reason for that to happen, and you deserve anything that comes your way at this point. Anything at all, no matter who you are. So it seems like we're on the same page with that. There's really shouldn't have been any reason for that whatsoever.
No.
But again, the outcome of the game, I feel, was already in hand because when he scored that goal, it made it 13-8 with 2.5 minutes to go. People say, well, if you pull the goalie, it says that you're still trying to win the game. Well, yeah, you're still going to try to win the game, but with that much time left, there was no way. There was no way they were coming back, not with the way Goodleaf was playing and the defense limiting the Wings to just basically one shot, not allowing them any second or third opportunities. So the Wings fall to 0-2 with that loss. Now we look at this week's games, and as we said, you got Philadelphia at Toronto. That's going to be kind of interesting, especially with the face-offs and see what happens. I mean, I don't know if Philadelphia's going to be able to pull off a win in this game. I don't even know if it's going to be close, to be honest with you, because I don't know what the goaltending is like.
Well, it better be something because you have the likes of a Hellier, a Schreiber, a Paulus, McCardle. We can go on and on and on. Really, there's a lot of firepower in Toronto.
Yeah, and who knows? Maybe Hellier will get a point in every single goal this week.
Who knows? Who knows?
But yeah, I mean that's going to be.
But Philadelphia does have a decent team. But again, they have to come up against one. Nick Rose has been playing great, and two, the Toronto defense is probably the most unheralded one in the league. I still think that their transition team is the best team in the league, transition-wise.
If the Wings could not start out slow, like they did the first 2 weeks, they could have a shot in this game. In all honesty, they can't come out slow like they have the first 2 weeks. Against Buffalo, they started slow, and against Rochester, they started out slow, and they had to battle from behind. So if they don't start out slow, if they could try to keep pace with Toronto, they have a shot in this. But I don't know. My heart's saying, yeah, pick Philly, but I think Toronto's going to win this game. I just would like to see Philly be in contention for this, maybe sneak out of Toronto with an upset win. Vancouver at Georgia.
They might even be down before the national anthem's over.
Yeah, I mean,
you got a team that has no defense against the Thompsons.
We're just against Lyle Thompson. Of course, Miles.
Oh, you got McIntosh. You can name 10 guys off of the Georgia team too.
Yeah.
And I don't see this going very well for Georgia or for
Vancouver. Yeah. No, I know what you meant.
I think that Aaron Bowles is going to have an awful long evening, but
yeah,
he's been able to steal a game in the past, so who knows? I hope it's close, just for the 12 people that are there. Unless they fly in some people.
Well, I might be flying down to Georgia this year for the Wings' last road game of the year.
What section will you be taking over?
I don't know. We might be taking my daughter down there for her birthday, so.
Oh, you can stretch out.
Yeah, big time. Big time stretch out. I'll sit in one section, my daughter will sit in another.
Yeah, you can call each other.
Yeah. maybe I'll make some of the big heads and sit them in the chairs too.
Yeah, well, you find a good mannequin store.
Yeah. But who knows? Hey, they might surprise us. They might get more people in. Who knows? But yeah, I don't see that game faring well for Vancouver either in that game. Rochester at Buffalo. The Nighthawks.
Normally when it's a close game like I figure this would be, I usually side with the home team. That being said, I'm taking Rochester in this game. I just think that the defense is going to be the thing that's the difference in this game. I almost put the goaltending as even with the way Matt Vince has played this year and with the way that Angus Goodleaf has started this year and what we know he can do. Offensively, yes, Buffalo has a lot of strengths. Smith is still out, though.
Yep, and that's going to be a big factor.
And offensively, you still have Jamerson. You still have Jackson. And I can go on with a whole list of others, too. So in a close one, I'm taking Rochester to beat Buffalo.
Yeah, well, I just can't root for Buffalo. That's what I can never find myself to root for Buffalo unless I have to. So I don't care, regardless of who they were playing. I was going to take them. unless they were playing Vancouver.
And Vitarelli and a few others too. Never hurts to increase that. But yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah,
I can't get myself to.
It's a root for them now. But yeah, I see Rochester winning this game as well. Now, San Diego, Saskatchewan. This is a game where.
A couple of quick things before we get on that one, because I just got this off the wire, is that Garrett Billings and Graydon Bradley are added to the active roster for San Diego for this game.
You say Garrett Billings?
Did.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, that even makes it more interesting.
Yeah.
Wow.
No, that doesn't change my pick.
No.
After a upset loss, even by a goal, in their home opener, as the banners are being raised, I think San Diego has a long evening. And I also think we get to see really what Scigliano's all about as a starter.
Yeah, I don't know I wouldn't say they're going to have a long evening. I think they're going to keep this close up to a point. And then maybe somewhere in the third quarter or the fourth quarter, Saskatchewan's going to put together a run and go up by 4 or 5 goals, and that's going to be it. I think they hang with them to a point. And Saskatchewan's just going to take over. Because I think what's going to happen with the banner going up and everything, I think some of the players may be stuck in the moment, just briefly, but just enough to let San Diego hang around a bit. And then,
but don't forget, they also call Sastel Center the Louder House.
Yeah. So we'll have to,
I think it's an uphill battle for the Seals. But.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's definitely will be an uphill battle. I'd be lying if I didn't say, I would love to see them upset Saskatchewan, but I don't see it happening. I don't know, like I said, I think they're going to stay in it to a certain point, and then once Saskatchewan goes on maybe a large run, like maybe Saskatchewan might be down by 2 and then go on an 8-goal run and put them up by 6. That'll be it right there.
Yeah.
Something like that's going to happen. If San Diego can keep it close, they'll be in this for a bit. If they let Saskatchewan start running away early.
And you got the full complement, right? Because you got Church back in the lineup, you have Matthews, you have everybody in there.
Yeah.
They're going to be,
Matthews, Church, McIntosh, you got everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah, it could be scary. And then the last game of the week, you got Calgary at Colorado.
Now, gut instinct says, Calgary just the way they're playing, but a combination of things. One, I don't think Colorado's as bad as they looked in game 1. And number 2, 2 of those games that Calgary has played has been against Vancouver.
Right.
So I'm actually siding with Colorado in this one. And again, we have the Dylan Ward factor, who's able to steal a game on his own. And when you get players like Banesh, Lee, Ruiz, Joey Caputo, it goes on, right?
Yeah. And
not all floating around like they did in the first game. That's just not that. All the stars have to totally be in alignment for them to play that badly, and they did.
Yeah. Before I even go into that game, one thing I wanted to mention with the San Diego Saskatchewan game, a very good friend of ours has joined the Saskatchewan Rush organization.
Yes, Jumbo is now part of the team there.
Yes, and I couldn't be happier for him. He's going to be doing sideline reporting during all their home games, and it's going to add a whole lot more excitement.
He's even mentioned he's going to do some of the road games too, so it's going to be exciting.
Yeah.
And his podcast with Evan Schemenauer is just lights out off the hook.
Yeah, it is. It really, really is. Those two together. I mean, we had him on the show a couple times, interviewed him, and he's a great person all around. I met him personally a couple years ago. I'm looking forward to seeing him and Teddy Jenner again, well, meeting Teddy for the first time, and seeing Jake again in September up at the World Indoors in Langley. So I'm looking forward to that in September to seeing them. But I mean,
Langley's going to be busy, man, because Langley just got named the Minto Cup spot this year.
Yeah.
That just came out today.
Yeah, so things are going to be hopping there, which is great, So
yeah, you get crowds from both of those little things there, and that'll eclipse anything that the old stealth team could bring in.
Yeah, ain't that the truth? But for Jake, I just couldn't be happier. I think he got a raw deal with Vancouver. Things not going that his way, but he's catching on with Saskatchewan. Like we said, doing sideline reporting, doing color or play-by-play for some of the road games. And hey, you know what? I couldn't be happier for somebody like Jake. So
yeah, for sure.
That's great. Hearing him do a game is the price of admission alone. Now, as far as the Calgary-Colorado game, same thing. Colorado just has way, way too much depth with everybody there, with the Stephen Keoghs, the Joey Caputos, as you said, Dylan Ward between the pipes. And I just think it's going to be a little bit too much for Del Bianco. He'll do what he can, try to, stay there, but this is going to be the game that it's going to slap the roughneck management in the back of the head and across the face saying, hey, what are you doing? Get Superman in here. Get Get Berg in here. Whatever you got to do, get him in here. This, I think, is going to be their wake-up call. Because, like you said, their first few games were what? Vancouver and San Diego. That's it. You got an expansion team and a team that had, what, 2 wins last year? They had a handful, a few wins. So you can't measure your team at that point. Okay? Just like, everybody's talking about the Philadelphia Wings and the attendance. 11,023 in the first opener. You can't say, well, we'll see how they do in their next game, because their next game is the weekend of LaxCon. So you're going to have a whole bunch of people there for the U.S. Lacrosse Convention. So no doubt they're probably going to be giving out tickets there. So you're going to get a nice sized crowd at that point. What you got to look at is the game on the 26th when Toronto comes into town. And on February 1st, a Friday, with Rochester, and any of the games after that, because they're at home for a while at that point. That's where you can measure your attendance. First game, new team, they're back, fans come out. Second game, you got the lacrosse convention. So you have to wait and see where that attendance is going to go. But they have been advertising and doing a whole lot. So doing a lot more than what the previous owners did. I'll say that. So, like we said, we got tomorrow night, Gary, Philadelphia at Toronto. Game you're going to be at. That's at 7:30. It's on BR Live. If you have the subscription, also in the Philly area, it'll be on WPHL 17. Then you have on Saturday night, 7 o'clock, Vancouver at Georgia. I feel sorry for Vancouver. Then 7:30, you get Rochester at Buffalo. And at 8:30, San Diego at Saskatchewan. So you got 3 games going off in an hour and a half. So split your screen into 3s. Try to watch what you can. And then on Sunday at 3 o'clock Eastern, Calgary at Colorado. We're going, both agree with the Colorado game, taking Colorado there, Saskatchewan, Rochester, Georgia, and I hate to say it, I'm going with Toronto, but I'll be pulling for Philly to win this game, just to see them, try to get into the win column, but I don't know if they could do it this week against Toronto in Toronto. They got to show that they're not going to come out slow, and that's going to be the whole, the factor right there. As if they can come out at a regular pace and not fall behind 5-0 or 4-0 or what have you, then you can go from there. Real quick, we had just a few transactions. Ian Lord, who was suspended from got suspended during a preseason game. He's been moved to the active roster. Dated on December 31st. They put the practice player tag on Brandon Robinson. They put him on the practice player list from the active roster, obviously, to make room for Ian Lord. Let's see, they released Dylan Riley, but then they signed him to the practice player list, which cracks me up the way they do this. And then the other one, they just removed the practice tag from Brandon Robinson, but retained him. So, not a whole lot out there. We knew Ian Lord would be coming back. What I'm waiting to hear, well, what's interesting to me is that the Wings signed Isaiah Davis Allen to the practice player list. So I'm wondering if they're looking at him possibly making the active roster anytime soon. I mean, he's a hell of a field player. Don't know how to do in the box game. So that will just about do it for this week, Gary. Things are starting to finally the ball's starting to roll all throughout the league. We're going to start seeing who's going to separate themselves. But now we got 8 teams in the playoffs, which is kind of
like it used to be.
Yeah, I mean, I would wait to do the 8 until next year, not this year.
Now we wind up with almost an 18-game preseason.
Yeah. I mean, it doesn't give anybody a bye week. One's going to play 4, two's going to play 3. Single game in the first 2 rounds, and then championship best out of 3. But I think they should have waited for the 18 playoff until next season, when you have the other teams coming in. But it's all about getting money, all about the revenue. So we'll just have to see who's going to be the 3 teams not making it. What team in the West ain't going to make it, and what 2 in the East aren't going to make it.
Yeah.
Because that's what it's like. I mean, 4 out of the 5 teams in the West are going to make the playoffs. And that's where I think if you're doing 8 teams, you keep the original 6. You do the first 3 in each, but then you do the next 2 best records. Either that, or you do the top 2 in each division, and then the next 4 are the best records overall. Because you may have a team in the East with a way better record than the team in the West. They may get that last spot because they were in the West, and team in the East doesn't get anything. Or vice versa. That 5th place team in the West could have a better record than the 4th place team in the East. And they're kind of screwed out of it. But it is what it is. That's all we can say. It's a little bit crazy, but 8 out of the 11 will make it this year. And we'll just have to see what happens. See who starts to distance themselves. So, until next week, Gary, again, another fun show, another season underway. Hopefully everybody had a great, safe holiday. The New Year started off right for everybody. As I said before, go out, support your teams. If you're in the area, you have a chance to get a ticket to go see the games, see this terrific talent that is in this league. I mean, it's just unbelievable so far what's out there. You got the talent just, from Toronto with Tom Schreiber to Miles and Lyle Thompson in Georgia to the number 1 pick overall, Austin Stotts out in San Diego, to the number 2 pick over here in Philadelphia, and Chris Clouchet, and Trevor Batiste, great face-off guy, in college, and he's bringing that over into the pro game. To your Saskatchewan Rush, what is there to say there? Ben McIntosh, Robert Church, Mark Matthews. Enough said there. Hoisting their banner up this weekend. You just have it throughout the whole entire league. So if you have a chance to go see a game, get out there. You won't be disappointed. Again, to our friend Jake Elliott, congratulations. Be looking forward to hearing you with the Saskatchewan Rush on the sidelines and doing the road games. So, for Gary Grube at laxphilly.com, I'm Rocco Granado from InLacrosseWeTrust.com. We'll see everybody here again next week as we recap this week's games and look forward to next week where we have the LaxCon going on right here in Philadelphia. So until next week, everybody, stay safe and we'll see you next week.